Investors and traders, welcome to the channel Market Chat. But today is 9th of June 2024. I hope everyone is having a great weekend. In this video, we will be taking a look at the key US financial stocks and ETFs. And as always, this video is for educational purposes only. A subscriber asked me to take a look at the JP Morgan stock, and this is what we'll start with. So thank you very much for following my work. I really appreciate it. And we'll start by taking a look at the longer term cycles which are operating in the JP Morgan stock. Now, JP Morgan is a human interest story. JP Morgan as a company, as an organization, is really near and dear to me. Because it was the organization I joined straight out of university, and I joined at a time when we were going through the great financial crisis, which has actually was pretty much starting by the time I was when I joined on their graduate program, and I saw a lot of things which happened during that period from an industry perspective. And it's an extremely well-run organization, and it was also a time when I joined about a couple of years ago. Maybe Jamie Dimon had joined as the chairman and CEO of the bank, and it was his leadership basically which actually really transformed that organization. And from what we observed, Jamie Dimon was a ferocious cost cutter, which of course improved the profitability for the company. A fantastic manager. He was able to lead the bank through the great financial crisis as a very well managed bank with a fortress balance sheet. So that was one of the things. And then, of course, to promote the business, cross selling of the products was something which was, as shown in the stock price. So extremely well run, well managed bank. And in fact, yeah, like all companies, they go through certain periods in around 2010, I believe, or 2012, 2011. There was this London whale crisis, and some people actually said when they actually bought Lehman Brothers building, and it's a curse of the Lehman. There's kind of a joke around the city. Anyway, that's just a human interest story. What is actually why I mention this is because quite recently in the press interviews, Jamie Dimon has actually mentioned that he is actually now looking to retire. And with that, he's actually now it's coming in the media. You can just Google about it. It's all public information that I was reading. That maybe he's putting in a leadership team for him to transition out of it. It's all just public information. Of course, I no longer work at the company for a long time now, and here what is really interesting is that news comes out when we have this big cycle which is in green color completing ABCD. So that has been completing around the 205 mark, $200, let's say, and this is a completed cycle. And the market moves in cycles, and cycles are fractals. They're like we'll have big cycles, we have small cycles inside a big cycle. So it's like smaller cycles are cogwheels inside a wheel, making the entire machinery work. So that's the kind of presentation that we have here. We have this big ABCD cycle which is completing, and the news comes out that Mr. Dimon is actually looking to maybe step down in a few years' time, and maybe in next 5 years after putting in a transition in terms of the management. And it was in the news that a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, he actually sold some stock as well. From a technical perspective, we had a cycle completing, and the news that is coming out is perhaps a transition is underway in the organization. So, that is always the news will come out, but technically, we actually look at the cycles, and the cycles were actually topping and the long-term cycles. So what you see within this big ABCD cycle is these smaller ones with different color lines here. So some of these cycles, they actually expanded, especially coming out of the 2009. You can see that this brown line, it actually extended to 1.272. Then later on, some of these extended to even 1.618. And we have some expansions coming in as well. And then the bigger cycle is of course around the $200 mark. We also have these more recent, since the COVID low of 2020, this black cycle. This is something which we have been in fact looking at the weekly charts completing around here, around the $200 mark, roughly speaking. And before that, we have this another one which is mentioned in the purple. So just to get you the ideas, the different kind of ABCDs that have been working, and when they get extended, they get extended by 1.272 or 1.618. And we also look at the expansions of their BC swing as well. Now, I have not drawn the retracements. The retracement a lot of times actually respect the Fibonacci ratios, and sometimes we also get an ABCD pattern as well. And if it comes in line with a Fibonacci ratios and a pattern, then that's a point we pay really close attention to, because those tend to be either strong support or resistance depending upon the direction the price is moving in. So what we have going on is a really nice trend line right from the 2009 lows, and every time the market has come and basically touched this rising trend line, it has found support. So the first time it happened was around 2011, and those of you who have been trading for quite some time or looking at the markets, you will know that 2011, around the October time, there was a lot of volatility in the market, and maybe it was also kind of a tipping point that if that support might not have held in the broader indices such as Dow Jones, S&P 500, it could have continued lower in a bear market. But the bear market was over in 2009, so it continued. So this stock actually also found support and just kept on moving higher, and the ranges began to expand. So now what I think is, just because we have this ABCD completing, which has in fact completed, and we also have a catalyst that a fantastic manager who had been really instrumental in shaping the organization is now looking to step down in a few years' time. So it's not something immediate, but he's going to do it in a way where there is going to be a handpicked management which will come and oversee that process of change and carry the organization forward. But it could also mean is that some of the really longer term investors, such as pension funds, institutional money, they might begin to, because there's going to be a change in the top management, they might actually begin to scare off some of their positions. And at the moment, we do not see any signs of distribution here. But my take is that we might actually begin a trading range in the JP Morgan stock. So we have some other expansions going up to 225 roughly. So maybe between the 200 to $225 mark, we begin to see this trading range where the stock might begin to trade in this range for quite some time. And these are monthly charts that we are looking at. Each bar is 1 month, so it's not gonna be something straight away. It'll happen really quickly, but over time, and it could take several months, years in fact. But looks like we might begin a process of a trading range. At the moment, there is just no signs of distribution that I see. But let's see what a distribution looks like. So for that, we have to go quite way back. So this is 2007. This is where you can see the market just entering sideways price action for a few months. And then that's where around October, November, that the great financial crisis, it became pretty apparent, when the money markets also began to freeze as well. This is another period in the stock where we see for several months the market actually with this stock just goes sideways. And the really interesting thing is that this is around the dot-com bubble burst, and this stock actually put in a high around the 1st of March 2000, and put in a low much in line. Well, I'm not sure. I think it bottomed a little bit earlier than the broader indices did, and we'll have to take a look at individual indices as well. So put in a low around the 2002, and this low gets retested in March of 2009. Let's put this in here. Here we go. And this was looking at the monthly chart, a really sign of real strength that the market rejected lower prices. The stock actually rejected lower prices, and then of course a retracement came in here, and the stock just didn't look back. It's just been going higher. So this is what I think in terms of looking at these cycles, that we have this bigger ABCD in green completed. We do have some expansions coming in at higher levels. So what I think is the stock might actually begin to trade in a range. So fantastic company, expecting perhaps some trading range to begin in the stock from a longer term perspective. 200 to $225, that could be a kind of a range target. It might just begin to oscillate within that. This is what it looks like, because we have this bigger ABCD cycle which actually completed. And now going back to the weekly chart. So this is the one which we have been looking on daily, on the weekly basis. And here you can see this is the smaller ABCD, which is part of that bigger green cycle ABCD that I showed you. So 216 is 1.618 expansion. This is, I believe, where the news came out that Jamie Dimon actually sold some of his stock. You can Google about it, it's in public. So it could just oscillate between this level. At the moment, this is exactly what it is doing. It is just oscillating between the 1.272 and 1.618 expansion of this BC swing, which is the entire bear market of 2022. So there we go. This is the analysis for the JP Morgan. We have looked at the longer term monthly chart, and now we had a look at the weekly chart. So now let's actually begin by taking a look at the KRE, which is the regional banking ETF. Here we go. This is the weekly chart for that, and what we see is range bound price action for months now, since the beginning of 2024 pretty much. It broke above this this trend line, kind of, it's just a range. I don't know what else to say, because the price action is pretty much capped by this 38.2% retracement, which came in from this high to this low. So let me actually move this around and show it to you. Yeah, it's gonna resolve either way, but to be honest, last week was not a very positive week, and we have had 3 such weeks now. And as long as this point C, which is our assumed point C of $46, is held, chances for an ABCD are there. But with this kind of price action, it looks like more like at some point it's going to transition from a trading range into a trend, and it looks like the trend might be to the downside, so there could be a further retracement. What is going to negate that? Getting above this point, 54, and as long as it just is supported by 46, we think the ABCD is still in play. So this is what the regional banks ETF looks like, but you can see clearly there is a weakness in here. Just 3 consecutive weeks of lower closes. Okay, now let's take a look at XLF. So this is Spider Select Fund Financials. This is the weekly chart. This is the one which has these big stocks such as Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Berkshire Hathaway. So anyone who is looking to take some exposure through an ETF really need to do some research for themselves, because the XLF composition is very different to KRE BW, which is another banking index ETF. So one has to be, they need to do their due diligence. Now here, what we are looking at is this market, again, sideways trading action. The chances are it might actually go and test its 43 and maybe a little bit higher. Really important for this to hold this level around the 39.50 mark. Getting below this it'll be a break of the structure, and then it could be an indication that the price actually is now looking to move lower. As long as this is held, maybe we are in ABCD, which could see the price go up to 49, but this sideways trading action for 3 weeks, it's just being held by the 20-week period moving average. it needs to improve in the next couple of a few weeks. Okay, now let's take a look at Goldman Sachs. Here we go, the weekly chart of Goldman Sachs, and what it has done. It has, after reaching our target of this 470, which is the 1.618 extension, and also just below that was 1.272 expansion of this entire range. It has just gone nowhere. Trading range. So it's just moving in a trading range for last 3 weeks now. The chances for it to do something like this are there. So maybe retrace down to around 40 level, and after that maybe I don't know whether there is a further correction in play or pullback. But looks like if it were to do the market symmetry, this is how much the pullback it had done before, and it might be able to do that the same. And if it begins to pull more than this, then the symmetry is no longer there. So this means that maybe the chances for it to pull back further will increase. JP Morgan we have already taken a look at, so we'll take a look at the Bank of America stock. Here we go. So the Bank of America, here we go. This is so here we were looking for it to get to about 61.8% retracement, and this is it's actually done that, and it's just, I think, gonna go into a trading range as well around this mark. We have these some ABCDs going a little bit higher than the $40 40 50 mark, a little bit higher than that. So maybe it just begins to get, but $40 is kind of the area we were looking at, because that's where the 61.8% retracement is. It's just there. Now let's take a look at the Citigroup. So the Citigroup, here we go. Again, trading range, very difficult for this stock to get above the 61.8% retracement. Momentum is good for it, because you can see prices above the 20 period moving average, is above the 89 period moving average. So interesting, but it really needs to get moving quickly if it is able to get out of this. Otherwise the 61.8% retracement could be a pretty significant resistance, and the chances are we could begin to develop a situation like this, where we could have a potential double top formation. It's not confirmed yet. So Citigroup 61.8% is acting as a pretty strong, fairly strong resistance for the moment. Okay, now let's take a look at Wells Fargo. Here we go. And Wells Fargo, it went into this zone that we were watching, because we were expecting it to fill that gap, and it's pulled back for about a month now. There is a possibility for this ABCD in purple, which could see the stock making new all-time highs. The key for this one is that the momentum needs to remain pretty strong for this, so it should not begin to go below 20 period moving average. Even if it does that, not for a long time. This structural support around the 55 mark is an important one to watch. So again, this is what we are looking at in Wells Fargo. It has done what we were kind of expecting it to do. Last but not least is Morgan Stanley. Here we go. Morgan Stanley is also finding great deal of resistance from the 78.6% retracement. Now, I really thought that it has a chance to at least get into this gap around here, but it has kind of missed that, and it's just pulled back a little bit here. And the previous time it had done this was, it pulled back by this much, so maybe there is a chance it can pull back a little bit further. This black ABCD could actually see it touch this. The chances for it to get into this gap are there. Whether it will be strong enough to break above and get to 1.272, we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like it will try to get into this gap formation here, drawn in this box. I think we should also look at American Express. So here we go. You can see pretty yeah, this is a pretty neat looking chart here, and it has met the shorter term 1.618 expansion, and now it's just consolidating. The chances for it are that it is likely to complete this ABCD formation, which comes around $268 per share level. So again, I think I would expect a more of a trading range behavior for this one, and the momentum is strong for it. Price above a 20 period moving average, maybe it can pull back a little bit further, get down to this 20 period moving average, and this is way above the 89 period moving average. There's a fair amount of gap in there that actually shows the strong momentum we have had. So it is getting to these levels that we were which we had for our target. Those have been achieved with 1.618 expansion of this bear market that we had, and possibility of 1-to-1 price projection. So this is what we are looking at in terms of the financial stocks in the United States market. So thank you very much for watching the video. Good luck and good trading. And if you found this video of educational value, give it a thumbs up. And if you like our analysis, then please think about subscribing to the channel. And I will speak to you guys soon.